Figure it out.
Hello, this is Adam Koralik with Figure It Out Productions. The following video is part of our Quick Shoot series.
Hey guys, it's Adam here, and today I got a package from France. Now there's a little bit of a backstory on this one. A little while ago I got this, Alice's Mom's Rescue for the Atari Jaguar CD. And in that video I mentioned that I couldn't believe that there was a brand new Atari Jaguar CD game, and of course that's why I picked it up. And I said something to the effect of like, I just would love to talk to the developer and ask him why the Atari Jaguar CD. It just blew my mind. And it didn't really occur to me that he would actually see that video. And he did. And so he contacted me and he's like, hey, just so you know, I love the Jaguar CD and I've actually made other games for it. And I was like, really? And he's like, yeah. And I was like, well, can I still buy them or whatever? And he's like, unfortunately, no, they're all sold out. But according to him, he said, you know what, you've inspired me and I'm going to do another run of them. And he did. And then he said, I'm just going to send them to you for free. So that was awesome. So here they are, they arrived. And I'm going to open them up and we're going to take a look at them and talk a little bit about them. Now, I should warn you that I haven't played any of these. The reason I knew about Alice's Mom's Rescue beforehand is because I had it for the Sega Dreamcast, whereas these have not been released on other platforms that I am aware of. However, I know that some of these are actually coming to the Dreamcast soon, as cool as that is. So, we've got Yopaz Ice Star. I'm not sure if that's actually the name or if it's just Ice Star, and I'm not sure what the Yopaz part is, but there you go. Looks pretty cool. Looks like some kind of puzzle game. I'll show gameplay at the end, but it's awesome. Inside, you got the disc, and you got manuals. It's really cool. A game called Philia, the sequel to Elansar. And this would be Elansar, so you get this and its sequel. And I think these are like point-and-click adventure type of games. They support multiple languages, English, French, German, and Spanish, or at least this one does. This has English and French, and this one has English and French as well. Cool thing about these is that they have obviously nice cases, nice artwork, manuals, all that stuff. The only difference between this and I guess his original run was that the original run was pressed on discs, on CD-ROMs, whereas these are burned CDs, and I thought you guys should know that. But apparently, if you're a Jaguar CD enthusiast, the option once again exists to you to get new games for your Jaguar CD. Crusher Bad 64, I'm looking at you. I'll put a link in the description so that you can look into that. But yeah, so now let's go ahead and take a look at some of the gameplay here.
Okay, I've fired up the Jaguar and the Jaguar CD here, and as you can see, we got the Orion logo that pops in. Of course, all these games were made by the same dude, as I mentioned before, Cedric, awesome guy. And so this is Elansar, and I just basically, here's the initial screen, and then you kind of can go right into the game. Now, I should warn you, I cut out a lot of things like load times, and I cut out, because the Jaguar CD, you know, there's a shit ton of load times. I also cut out, you know, the options menu, stuff like that, stuff where I was just trying to figure out the basic, you know, mechanics of the game, just for the sake of expedience. So, yeah, there's also a cool little cinematic at the beginning, which I was debating keeping, but I decided in the end, you know, you're going to see enough other footage. So the game itself, I cut this out, and I was debating not, but there was basically a storyline that was introduced through text, where, you know, you more or less you just get your way to this island, and you have to now you have to find your way off the island. And as you can see, the game is a point-and-click adventure, a very conventional one, very similar to Myst, if you guys ever played that, or that whole series. And I gotta give Cedric props for that, because, you know, you probably wouldn't see that in a mainstream game anymore. I mean, this is kind of a genre that to most people is very off-putting, but it doesn't mean it's bad, because it's actually quite fun. I actually had a lot of fun playing it. But it's a hard thing to advertise, because, you know, the idea of a point-and-click adventure was, you know, basically creativity based on limitations. You know, you'd want to tell an adventure story that way, but you could only work with so much ability. And to do that now is impressive, that anybody would still do that, especially, like I keep saying, for the Jaguar CD. I just love that this dude backed the Jaguar CD. And this game will be made available to the Sega Dreamcast soon. It's going to be packaged with Philia, which you'll see a bit of gameplay in a bit. I should warn you in regards to this game, though. I ended up, a lot of the time I just kind of spent exploring the location and trying to get used to the controls and everything. So as a result, I've cut out a bunch of things, you know, where I was kind of wandering around. I didn't really know what I was doing. I also cut out a lot of load times, because I think I mentioned this already, but the Jaguar CD's load times is ridiculous. Like almost every screen, you have to do load times. And that's not a fault of the game. I mean, that's just the way that platform is. But yeah, another thing that's cool about this game is that it supports the memory card. Actually, it requires it. The Jaguar CD does have a memory card called like the memory track, and thankfully I already had one. Otherwise, this would have been a lot more difficult. But yeah, so it does require that, but you can save at will at any time you like. And if it isn't obvious already, one of the things you're supposed to do is, find, puzzle pieces, and you're supposed to put them together and open doors and solve other things. So I basically found this key slot, and then I went out and I found the key, and there I put in the key. You can see in the upper right corner there that you can save at any time. And so now we'll be able to go inside this vault, and I'll just give you a little bit of a taste of what happens next, because I want to do kind of like bite-sized gameplay here, because I want to be able to show you all 3 games in the same video. So once you're inside, you can just see this little area, which is pretty cool, and then I'll give you a good sense of this. This is the beginning of Philia. This is like an opening cinematic that happens in that game. And there's obviously there's much like Elansar, and I apologize, I'm probably pronouncing both of these totally incorrectly, but much like that game, there's a title screen, and there's the ability to change languages. They both support multiple languages, French and English. Elansar also supports German and Spanish. Philia, I think, just supports English and French. But yeah, so I cut all that out. I also cut out a lot of load times again. In the case of Philia, you'll see that I'm kind of rushing through it a little bit, and the reason is that when I was playing it, the control mechanism or the scheme, I should say, the control scheme is a lot different than Elansar, like more so than I had expected. They like Elansar, you just kind of click on any side of the screen and the character will move in that direction, be it forward, left, right, down, backwards, what have you. With Philia, you basically go to the edge of the screen and hold a different button and then just kind of move the screen in that direction. And Elansar, at least at the beginning anyway, encouraged that you kind of go to different areas, whereas the beginning of Philia, that's what I thought I was supposed to do, but I wasn't. I was supposed to stay in the same area and solve this puzzle right away. So I cut out all that screwing around, because I didn't know what the hell I was doing for like 20 minutes, and that would have been really uninteresting to watch. So now what you're seeing is that you saw there was like a doorway there, and the door is locked, and I have to figure out how to unlock it. And basically there's these little portal things. You saw like there was that blue circular thing. You have to go up and guess the element that each one of those represents. So in this case, this one represents water. So, I click that, I type that in, and we're good to go. We've unlocked that. But of course, there are 3 more of these things. Now, I didn't realize that. I thought, oh, okay, you just unlock one. Nope, it's still locked, which is like, okay, so I guess I do have to go back and figure this out. So I was like, all right, if that's water, then logically this would be fire. Of course, that's part of what the clue says. The thing on the left will help you deduce what I am, and it did, because of course it was in fact fire. So yeah, that's pretty cool. Again, like the first game, this game requires the memory card, or the memory track, which is useful. Again, you can save on the fly, although the way saving works in this game is a little bit different. There isn't like a save icon the way you saw in the previous game. You just kind of go back to the menu, and well, I don't ever show the menu in this game, but it basically, once you hit menu up there, it just kind of automatically saves, and you seem to be good to go. So that's pretty useful. That would have been confusing if I didn't. I guess I accidentally figured that out, but now I guess you guys will know. So I did fire, as you saw, and I was like, okay, cool. What's the next one? So I just assumed it was going to be wind. So I went to type in wind, and it didn't work. As you can see, it just went to the next letter. It's like, all right, well, the other element is earth. So, of course, that's what I ended up typing in successfully. And, of course, it works, and we can unlock the next part. Now, so, all right. As I said, all right, so it was like water, fire, and earth. And then I just assumed wind was going to be the next one. So I went over here, even though there's... Well, actually, I'm just realizing now there is some sort of little halo there. I didn't notice it before. So, alright, so I typed the W thinking it's going to be wind, and it doesn't work. So I ended up, there's a little cut there, I ended up typing like every fucking letter, because I was like, what the hell is this? And then I realized A, oh, air, duh. you just don't usually hear it phrased that way. Usually it's earth, wind, fire, and water. It's not usually air. But anyway, so that unlocks the door, and then we see there's another puzzle up here. But I thought I'd stop there, give you a taste of it, and let's move on to the next game. And that game is Yopaz Ice Star. It's got this really cool animated intro here, which I really like. It kind of makes me long for some sort of shmup on this thing, which is a dangerous thing to request as a Dreamcast fanatic, but that has nothing to do with this. So it just makes me realize, like, okay, so Cedric has now made 4 games for the Jaguar CD. And there's only 14 or 13 even official Jaguar CD games, which means if you include his, he actually makes up a large percentage of all the games available to the Jaguar CD, and I gotta give him props because I've enjoyed all of these games. And this one's a pretty cool puzzle game. But another thing that's interesting about his releases is that Elansar and Philia are the only franchise that's available on the Jaguar CD. So, and what I mean by that is you can get Elansar and its sequel on the same platform, whereas everything else on the Jaguar CD is either a standalone game, a sequel to a game the Jaguar CD didn't have, or a game that had sequels but that were not available on the Jaguar CD. Does that make sense? And I think it's kind of cool that an independent developer was the one who actually had multiple games in the same franchise available for this platform. And, you know, good on him for supporting this platform, because it certainly did not get any love in its, you know, original lifespan. So to have an independent developer come in and make more games for it is really, really cool. But, okay, so of all the 3 games I've shown you here, the other 2, Elansar and Philia, will be available for the Sega Dreamcast. They're being published by HughCast, I believe. And they're going to be packaged as, like, one bundle. Alice's Mom's Rescue, which I've of course showed you before, is also available for the Dreamcast. This game, however, is not, and it doesn't seem like there's any plans yet anyway to put it on the Dreamcast, and I hope there is, because this one was actually really, really, really fun. Not that the others weren't, but those, you know, they take a little bit more focus. You know, they're more intellectual puzzle games, I should say. This one was just a lot of just kind of like, oh, I'll sit down, oh, this is pretty sweet, just a conventional, fun little puzzle game, and I really liked that about it. I ended up playing it for quite a while. In fact, I had to like stop because I had to be like, oh, that's right, I have to go make a video now. But so I really enjoyed this one quite a bit. Again, I did enjoy the others, don't get the wrong impression, but it's just that this one was much more addictive, I guess I should say. The other ones were more analytical, which is not a bad thing. It's quite cool. And I want to thank Cedric again for sending these to me, which is something he really didn't have to do. I mean, making a whole new batch of these available just because he liked my video is incredibly flattering. If you are a Jaguar CD enthusiast, especially if you're an American one, I mean, this would be a good time to strike, because the euro, at least at the time I record this, is kind of in crisis, and the US dollar is way up, so basically the game is a lot cheaper than it normally would be because of exchange rates. So again, if you're an American and a Jaguar CD enthusiast, take advantage while you can, man. I highly recommend it. CrusherBad64, I'm looking at you. Yeah, this game is fun. Alright, so I'm going to take a look at the back here. This one is, it has, according to the back, 40 playable levels in 3 different worlds. And of course, the idea is that you want to get all these little stars or whatever you want to call them, in the shortest amount of time possible. And that's, I don't know, I had a lot of fun doing it. Obviously it gets more challenging and more extreme as you go. There's different modes. There's like a level editor mode, apparently. This game also supports saving, which is good, because, you know, the funny thing about the Jaguar CD is that it had a memory card, but very few games, as far as I even recall, ever supported it. Whereas I think all of Cedric's games, yeah, actually all 4 of his games support the memory card. So it's pretty cool that he's taking advantage of accessories that even Atari barely used. A couple of final thoughts before we go here. I want to note that this was recorded via RGB SCART on the actual Jaguar. This is not emulated or anything like that. The Jaguar actually cleans up really well when you hook it up the correct way. It's just that it, you know, could be kind of a pain in the ass, but it is quite doable. Also, these 3 games are strictly Jaguar CD games. Unlike Alice's Mom's Rescue that actually contained a PC version, these do not. So keep that in mind. If you're a Jaguar enthusiast, this is probably worth supporting. And thank you again to Cedric for sending these to me, and thank you guys for watching. I'll see you all later.